The Pope says that we have sinned against the earth. How does that even happen? A Harvard professor is saying that we need to ban homeschooling. That sounds ridiculous. And people are going nuts. The moms have raided the park. It is play date protest. Someone figure out what's going on in the world today. I'm Micah. That's Chris. And this is the Daily Radical.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Today, the Daily Radical coming at you. If you have not yet, hit that subscribe button down there on the YouTube channel. Those of you listening on us through Spotify or through your podcast feed, stay connected, put a notification on, make sure you're up to date with what's going on with the Daily Radical. We had a little, I was out.
Yeah.
I was
welcome
out,
back.
man.
Welcome back. Glad you're here,
Welcome
man.
back. I'm here. I'm here, dude.
How does it feel to be a dad?
Oh man, well they haven't cost me anything yet, so I don't really quite feel the weight of
really?
it. So
Well, they just haven't sent you the hospital bill yet.
no, I know, right? I know. It feels great, man. It feels great. I mean, so my babies came a little bit early. They came at 32 weeks. Doing healthy and doing great. So 32 weeks, and so they're a little preemie, so they got to stay cooking a little bit longer. But they're doing great, you know. So in the next few weeks, we'll definitely get them here, and so we're good. We're good. Just making daily trips to see them. So yeah, we're doing great, man. So it feels good. My wife's doing good, and ready to tackle this next new season of life. And so
Awesome.
the big one. So, but we're good there, man. How you been?
I'm doing well. And just for all of our listeners and viewers, this is our second time that Chris and I have gotten together. We got together to do a podcast over the weekend, and we got just to chatting about the babies and everything and catching up. And we got into this long discussion about abortion. And so if you have not seen that video or listened to that we didn't really title it an episode. We're just doing it kind of like a highlight because it was 20 minutes of just conversation of abortion. And so so this is Chris and I catching up right now. We're jumping in, but yeah, man, it's going well. I'm glad to be here. I'm ready to get started tonight.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great night, and I'm pushing all of you. If you have not, we're about 8 episodes deep. Go back to the archives, check out what we got going on, be with us from the beginning. And as we evolve and grow into the Daily Radical, those of you who have subscribed or are part of us already, thank you. Yeah. Support, share, let everybody know what's going on, and looking forward to bringing out some great content to you guys. But what we got tonight, Micah? What we got going on?
Well, there's a lot of stupidity in the world today. I have to be honest with you.
Just today?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot going on.
I've done at least 8 stupid things in the past 45 minutes. So,
dude, there's so much. When we're gone for a week, I mean, doing the show weekly gives you a whole bunch of nonsense. And the funny thing is that you would think it's nothing but COVID-19, which there's enough to talk about there. But, I don't really care to talk about COVID-19. I think a lot of people are just done with that nonsense. But
you're just burnt out over it, man.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm burnt out with this thing, dude.
I'm looking forward to later on this week because I feel like I want to do a whole show on Joe Biden and what's going on. I think there's a whole lot of nonsense right now, especially for those. We talked either an episode or two ago about the whole Kavanaugh thing and about how, it was just absolutely appalling what they did to him. And now Joe Biden's just kind of like, we actually have evidence came out over the weekend. Right.
Yes.
And so I think there needs to be, we should have a conversation about that later on in the week.
I think so too. I think and as believers, we need to have some type of kind of politics is kind of like, okay, we're kind of in let's not put anything solid. We're conservative, this or that, but politics need to be talked about. Democracy needs to be talked about, and we'll talk about it more, like I said, coming up later on in the next episode or so. Yeah. But just, I mean, let's put aside where you sit, your political bias, just the our system of government, our system of the law system, the fact that let's put aside who it is, that we have Joe Biden, these allegations, and things are quiet and these are clear. And then we had other side to where things were vague. fabricated, even pulled back from decades and decades ago, and it was like the biggest thing, ruining people's lives. And
Yeah.
so I'm definitely looking forward to crack that open,
Yeah.
when we get a chance to
And
do
that's
it.
the
So
thing is
I'm with you.
it has nothing to do with the whole political angle. It's a matter of it wasn't fair what they did to Kavanaugh. And I
Yes,
just think it's
yes, yeah,
ridiculous that
yeah.
now Biden's getting essentially he's gotten a free pass over the last, few weeks. Anyway, but
Ridiculous,
that's not really what we came to
ridiculous.
talk about
Yeah.
today. So I,
But
I
that is coming up, so stay tuned. Stay
yeah,
tuned.
let's start with this. So on Earth Day, so Earth Day was last week. I think it was Wednesday, last Wednesday.
Earth Day.
Every day, yeah. I mean, what does this even mean? Earth Day. No,
Hug a
okay.
tree. Hug a tree. Hug a
Right,
tree.
right. Now, no, I mean, here's the deal. Like,
Kumbaya.
I do believe that we should be sensitive to the earth in the sense that it's God's creation. I don't think that we should be trashing it. I think
No.
that littering is just ridiculous. I mean, you drop, throw paper outside, just, find a garbage can,
Yeah.
like I believe in saving the whales, the animals and everything. I don't think that trash in our oceans that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm on board with the majority of these environmental kind of,
Yeah.
ideas and things that help our environment. We talked
Yeah.
about the whole trash bag, or not trash bag, but the grocery bag thing
Yeah.
a few episodes ago. And I'm on board with that. I know that like it's not healthy for our environment, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
However, the Pope came out and said that we will not be forgiven. His words were, "Will not be forgiven for our trespasses against the earth." Pope Francis praised the environmental movement. This was reported by Reuters, saying that it was necessary for young people to take to the streets to teach us what is obvious. That is, that there will be no future for us if we destroy the environment that sustains us. And I think what jumped out to me about his statement here wasn't that, it wasn't just that it crosses political lines as much as like, I mean, I get the whole environmental kind of argument. However, our hope and our protection and sustainability of the earth is not really in our hands.
Yeah.
I do think that the humans can and have affected the climate for sure. I think climate change is real. I'm not like a climate change denier, but I'm also not on board with the earth is going to be like, we're going to all end in 12 years. Like, I don't think the earth is going away. We're going to destroy the earth. All the ice caps are going to be completely melted. And, it's going to be, one of these horror movies where, huge tidal waves come and wash us all away. And then of course there's a bigger question of, what does the Bible say? Right. And what is our responsibility as Christians to environmental, issues. So I think it's a balanced approach. I found his statement, sinned against the earth, or trespasses against the earth. I found that to be really a strong point.
I mean, I think there's a couple of things to point out, we don't sin against each other. We don't sin against objects. We sin against God ultimately. My hatred, if I had a hatred for you, then I'd have ought against you. I have a problem with you, but I haven't sinned against you. I would sin against God, not against a human being. And again, we can unwrap this a little more. So to say the statement, we have sinned against the earth, like the earth is taking tabs on the human race for what is done to it, is completely, I think, out of any biblical scope. And biblically, we see anytime the earth was destroyed, the earth destroyed, it was by the hands of God, and the flood was the last time there was a worldwide, you could say, destruction, in that Noah and his family lived, so forth and so on. If you don't know that story, look up Noah's Ark and you'll get a huge wake up call. So
if you haven't heard of Noah's Ark, you're not a Christian.
Yeah. So don't look up the movie because it's complete garbage. Look at the book, look at the Bible. So so we see. So my stance with that, and I do agree with you. There's to be a balanced approach as Christians. We don't trash the environment, we don't destroy it. But at the same time, I'm not going to hold the environment is kind of like animal service, you know what I mean? Like they care about more about animals than people, to the point where they'll
Sure.
like, gladly allow a person to die over a dog, in the street. But I we're not going to be the ones to destroy the earth.
Yeah.
Only person can destroy this is going to be God. And so to hold this kind of, you know, guilt over people like, well, you're going to really hurt the earth. We've harmed it. We've done things, and man is wicked in his ways. But as far as leading to this huge catastrophe, like, the ozone layer is going to rip up and a solar flare is going to hit, and we're going to be totally like fried. I stand firmly that we're not gonna be the ones that do it. God's gonna be the one that does
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And so what he was saying again, and I agree with you. I mean, you just got to go look at the book of Revelation and the tribulation period and see, wow, I mean, like this world is going to be destroyed.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what the Pope, his main statement in on this article, and I could share this with our
Yeah, let's pull
YouTube
it up. Let's pull it
audience
up.
really quick. So what he's saying here is, and you can see it here, we see that these natural tragedies, which are the Earth's response to our maltreatment. Okay, first of
Mhm.
all, that statement I don't really agree with at all. What he's saying is that tornadoes, hurricanes,
Mhm. Mhm.
earthquakes are the Earth's response to maltreatment. So how we've responded. That's no, I don't agree with that. I think that if I ask the Lord now what he thinks about this, I don't think he would say it's a very good thing. It is, we have ruined the work of God. And now
Yeah.
uh, there is some how would I say legitimacy to saying that yes, you can destroy the creation of God. That's true.
Yeah.
And then of course he goes on. In one thing that he said that was most telling is saying the earth was not an endless deposit of resources to exploit. He said, "We have sinned against the earth, against our
Mhm.
neighbor, and in the end, against the Creator." So he's saying, because you sin
Wow.
against the earth, you sin against your brother.
Yeah.
Because you sin against your brother, you sin against ultimately against God Himself. So, what I don't like about this whole thing is that it's creating uh, it's creating a this notion of political, not, it's not political. I think it's because the idea of
Well, it
climate
could be used.
change
It
and
could be
everything is
used
so
politically.
politically
Yeah.
charged
Yeah.
that it's creating like this us against them thing going on again,
Yeah.
and that's what I don't like about it.
Well, it's especially I mean, on the left side of it, if you don't, I mean, now if you don't bring up, so if you don't address some type of global warming, climate change, whatever you want to dub it, that's then you're kind of out of the loop. Everybody wants to hear like, what do you got to say about it? And that's a huge, if we go on the left side of it, you know what I mean? Like what, that the younger generation, what do you guys say about the climate? What about the earth? What about the ozone layer? Didn't we
Yeah.
close the ozone layer? Wasn't that a big thing about the, I
I
think
don't
it was
know.
like close, and, but just,
Yeah.
we can go back and forth about like, is it worth, we could destroy the earth, but the fact that he's saying things like the earth does not forgive, we have to spoil the earth, and the response is very, very ugly. um I stand by the fact that if there's any type of natural disaster or happening, we have the tsunamis, we have the earthquakes, is leading to the Lord coming.
Yeah.
So those of you out there listening, Christians that are saying what is happening, earthquakes in diverse places, just things are increasing. And so what I take from it is not the earth punishing us, but that we're winding down to ultimately Jesus Christ's return. And so
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, in a way, and I'm trying to unfold this in my mind right now, but we could be so distracted by this, by things like this, that we kind of dub it as like, well, man's hurt the earth, that's why it's reacting this way.
Yeah.
No, sin has brought this. The earth groans because of the
Correct.
sin man has done. And
Yeah.
so if we begin to kind of get the brainwashing that, well, things are happening this way because we've affected it, man's done this. Yes, man has jacked things up. Let's get that clear. But really, biblically, we see that the fact that the earth is reacting the way it is leading to the coming of Jesus Christ, the second
Yeah.
coming, for Jesus Christ. And then also the earth, because of years and years of sin, it is groaning and reacting because of that. And so I don't know if you want to wrap this a little bit more, Micah, but I think global climate change in the bigger picture, I think as a Christian, could blind us the fact that no, we need to we have to take this thing seriously, because we're seeing significant reaction around us in the natural world of of what's happening in the spiritual.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I think it is absolutely true that we are seeing a response in the spiritual that plays itself out in the natural. That's
Mm-hmm.
true. And I think that the world itself, like what I mean by the world is the earth.
Yeah.
The earth itself, the scripture says that it groans and it quakes and it talks, it's fallen. And so the
Mm-hmm.
effect of the fall just didn't affect humans. It affected the earth as well. So in some regard, the earth is failing. It is
Mm-hmm.
coming to an end. There will be an end to all these things. And so that is a reality. It doesn't mean, I think, it doesn't mean that we can just ignore climate change or ignore how we treat the environment, because that's not okay. I think that we have a biblical mandate, and I mentioned earlier, what does the Bible say? We have a biblical mandate to keep. Adam was put in the garden to keep the garden.
Yeah.
And so we have dominion over this earth. We have dominion over the animals of the earth. It's our job to, in my opinion, to take care of them, protect them,
Yeah.
keep them.
Yeah.
So, no, I think it's incredibly important. But
Yeah.
anyway, it was an interesting thought I had today.
Interesting thought. On a lighter note, on a lighter note, moms are getting arrested.
This should be fun. This should be fun because I'm pretty sure I know some of these moms. I'm just saying, like, I'm pretty sure I've seen them at Hobby
Moms
Lobby.
are getting arrested. May I say it? Playdate protest.
Playdate protest. That's
Playdate
awesome.
protest. A group of women in Idaho have banded together. So this group of ladies been in Idaho, a bunch of moms, and the local park was shut down, like many parks in some states. To sway people not to be gathering, not to be doing barbecues, not to be,
Which is
even though,
ridiculous. Yeah, which is
which is,
ridiculous.
you know, be social distance, but we're gonna shut everything down that possibly could bring some type of like light to your day. Anyway,
Happiness, joy.
joy, yeah. So these moms get together, and so they go to this park in Idaho that was shut down, and they bring their kids out, and they're playing. Well, anyway, the cops were called. Big thing too. They're trying to like have a real. They did it as a protest, so they wanted people to know about it. So it wasn't like they snuck out, because why would you post something like that? It's
Yeah.
retarded, I mean, messed up, Sorry, retarded. That is a not right thing to do. And so they went, and so she refused to leave the playground, and they arrested her. Coronavirus is going on. You need to
Yeah.
leave. No, I'm going to make a stance here, and she got arrested. She later apologized, but anyway, I mean, they're shutting down parks, Micah. They're shutting down parks and places. It's there were people getting stressed out. And I want to tie this into this and flow into a topic with this. People are getting anxious at home. They are sick and tired of being home. They've been cooped up. They've been stressed out. They've been all this stuff. So we're seeing not just these group of moms, but we're seeing, people just getting over it, because it feels like there's no end in sight, and so Playdate protest is in the mix of this of this time of this revolting against this lockdown order that's happening right now.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I definitely understand their grief.
As a father of two at home.
Like my wife and I mean, my wife more than I, she, it's just the kids. I mean, it's really hard to keep kids entertained inside of your home, for all day long. Like literally we get into the car and just drive and go somewhere, whatever. And every time we go past a park, of course, my son, he's going to be 3, and he just like, Dad, park, and it's like, yeah, no, it's closed, it's tough. I just don't, I guess I get the equipment, you can't have kids, all playing on the same equipment, passing, viruses, blah, blah, blah. I get that, but it's like, does every park need to be closed? I mean, couldn't, and this lady in Idaho in particular, I think that they like organized it on Facebook and they went down and actually
Yeah,
tore off
yeah.
the tape off of the playground area. Okay,
It,
well, you
it was
can't
a
really
bunch
do
of
that.
angry moms. I mean, it's a
Well,
bunch of
and
angry
I
moms
get
that
it.
went
I
in
get it.
and they went
Yeah.
to the park and said, "Let me talk to your manager."
Like, we've had enough of this nonsense, and I get it. I mean,
Yeah,
people are protesting, and when you were out last week, I brought this up. I People are protesting, and for all the people that say like coronavirus, was a hoax and stuff like that, well, that's ridiculous. Like, first of all, we have over 54,000 people dead, so let's not be silly about this.
yeah,
It was not a hoax. It was not politically motivated. Now, you can say that it was the reaction and overreach has been politically motivated. And I think that what we are doing now currently is that we have this whole thing has just fallen into what everyone's taking sides now politically. I think what you're
yeah,
seeing is that a lot of the government, a lot of the Democrats are wanting this to end poorly for the president.
yeah,
They see that it has hurt the economy, and they like that because one of Trump's main points going into the reelection was the economy. And I think that unfortunately they're using this as kind of a weapon against Trump for in November,
yeah,
even though I don't think it's going to work. And I think that's what you're seeing now is that it's devolving to political sides, and that's
yeah.
unfortunate. But people are getting angry; they're starting to protest, and at the end of the day, we can't stay like this forever. I mean,
No.
we're not going to last. Like, everyone's talking. I don't know where we're at in California now. I think our governor has said at the end of May, or he said mid May. I think now they moved it to the end of May. I saw
Well,
that
I
come
mean,
out in San
there are some recent
Francisco.
comments to talk about, a business is opening up, and he made a comment saying, yeah, some business might not be open for like a couple years.
Yeah,
So there's some really scary stuff being said. This just, the overreach. Um, nothing like this ever happened before. We're talking about a pandemic in our modern time. And people giving President Trump, what about the 18 Spanish flu? I'm like, bro, that was like 100 years ago. Like,
yeah, yeah,
it's like 100.
absolutely.
It's like 100
None
years
of
ago.
us were alive. None of us experienced that.
Yeah, you're
There's
taking away from history books, and again, the the world or America at 1918 compared to 2020, you can't
Yeah,
compare it. You can't compare
yeah.
it. So, but it's
And that is the crazy part, because the Spanish flu, from what I've studied, I haven't really studied it too much. From what I've read, in various articles,
yeah,
the worst part about the Spanish flu was the second iteration. So
mm,
the first part of this, and they call it like in waves. The first wave is what we're experiencing now, which,
yeah,
well, yes, we only experienced 54,000 deaths, which is quite a few, by the way.
yeah,
That's a
yeah.
ton.
That's a
And
lot. That's a
for
lot.
people that are like, well, it only killed 54,000
I
people. It's like,
know.
yeah,
I mean,
okay,
it's like, take a
only.
second, like that you understand, like 54,000 dead people that, maybe not all of them, but probably the bulk of them had families and
Oh
loved
yeah.
ones. And so, those of us that might be saying, oh, it's not as bad as the flu. Okay, great.
No,
But,
that's worse than the flu. Yeah, much worse.
is it right now? Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So,
absolutely, absolutely.
one death is too much. What was that?
No, I was saying it's much worse than the flu. I mean, so right now,
Yeah,
as of
yeah, yeah.
today,
The rate, yeah.
we're at 56,000 dead, but it's more than just the rate. So when you go back, this has only been 2 months. So
Yeah.
March and April. I mean, 56,000 people are dead, and we don't shut down the entire economy and shelter in place the entire
For the
nation
flu, yeah.
for the flu. Like, so you stop and just think about that. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
if we shut down like we do every year for the flu, you wouldn't see in the numbers like 40 to 80,000, just depends on the year. But
Yeah.
that's per year. We're only a month and
Yeah.
a half in.
And that was that's the thing, is that, again, for those arguing against it, kind of like, listen, the rate that is killing. We're talking about how
Yeah.
fast it's going to kill. Like, it's going to be it's way accelerated than the flu was. So that's the thing that what was scary was the spread. And And you said something real significant there. Like, we're in the first wave right now. Some are saying that, we're not going to go back to business as usual until there's a vaccine in place to.
Yeah.
So, and again, they're still working on that. And so,
But that's unlikely, right? Because even now, like, we don't even have a good vaccine for the flu. It's
no.
I don't even get a flu shot because they tell me it's random, even if it does work. And everyone that I've always seen they get the flu shot, they still get sick. Like, I always find that interesting.
Well, you have to get sick. You get it because they basically give you the flu. The flu shot is you get a little sick with it, and then your immunity builds up, and then reject
Yeah.
the
Well, anyway,
original
I
flu.
don't know a whole lot about all
Yeah.
that stuff. All I'm saying is, like, 54,000 people have died. We're a month and a half in, 2 months in.
Shoot.
We have more.
I think it's like
We
week
still have the
6
we still have the
or
flu
7.
season coming around in October, November. It's gonna be a rough road. But the issue of sheltering in place and lockdown is still, like, you can't keep people locked up forever. Like, we have to figure out, what is life going to be like going forward. And by the way, I went to Costco today, and I have to say it was probably my best experience at Costco ever. I really like social distancing. Like, I really like it. Like, this is the way life was meant to be. I'm pretty sure this is the way life was meant to be.
So there is a group of people, and Micah is in that group, that love this time. And I know some others that are just like, this is great. Like, they could live this way forever. Keep your distance, keep your space.
The fact
So
that I
I'm
could tell
laughing because
people, the fact that I can tell people to take a few steps back and then not think I'm rude.
Have you had to?
No, I'm not
Well,
gonna actually say
yeah,
it,
me that one time you did.
but I like.
I went in for the bro hug. I went in.
Well, so what
for
I
the
do is I
locking,
step back, and they don't think it's rude anymore. So I used to do that anyway, but they used to think I was just being rude, which I wasn't. I just didn't want you close to me. But
so
now
the world has
I can
adapted
take a
to
step back.
Micah.
Yeah, I mean,
this
they finally realized that this silliness about getting close is ridiculous.
Personal
You don't need to be that
space,
close.
so
I can
funny.
hear you from where you're at. Like, you can stay right there. You ever have those people that just, like, walk right up into your face? Like, they just get, like, right there.
Yeah.
And you're, like, leaning back. I went down to Dutch Brothers the other day. I think I talked about this a while ago on the podcast. And the dude was like, his head was practically in my car.
Oh,
like, he's right. So I'm like leaning back, like, latte, please. Like,
do you smell
like,
his breath?
dude, like, do you know what the COVID-19 is, man? Takes a few steps back, bro. Like, what's going on? Like, he had no idea, no face mask. His head's
He's
basically
like,
in my car.
I got these.
And then he sneezes.
If he's working at Dutch Bros, I'm thinking, I took these natural herbs that repel against the corona, and I think,
dude, Dutch Bros is something else. Every time I go there, they're like bouncing around my car. Like,
your kids?
No,
the Dutch Bro people.
The workers.
Usually I feel that way after I drink some Dutch Bro.
No, I think that they're like on some sort of drug. I mean, they're like bouncing around. They're so happy. I mean, it's kind of nice, but I don't know. Before my coffee, I don't really want people being happy to me. I just want my coffee, Anyway, all right, off topic. But the bottom line is, I'm really liking this social distancing stuff. I really, dude. Costco, I'm telling you, my experience was wonderful.
Wait, so you're digging Costco because people are somewhere from you.
Yes.
You're not a fan of Dutch Bro. We like Dutch Bro, but Dutch Bro is not on the top list because they're way too happy, and
they're way too in my business.
They're way too in your business.
They always want to talk about something, like they're like,
well,
how's your day going? How's your like? I'm like,
spot.
Oh,
they want to make a personal connection with you.
Yes.
Oh wow, so
just start sneezing, just start coughing, and they'll.
But like even Dutch, man, it's like Dutch Army. It's like it's become like a phenomenon. It's been on for a while, but I'm just feeling like the past year, it's been like a wave of like, oh, Dutch. Like in our city, they've opened 3 within a year. More than that, they've opened like within a few months. I mean, let me see, one there. Yeah, I'm like and I would never was into Dutch, but I went to Dutch. I'm a Golden Eagle fan. Like the Golden Eagle. and I got it. And here's what they did. Okay, talk about this personal thing, right? Here's what they did to me. Here's how they got me. First time I went in, and I'm different from Micah because I'll talk to everybody and I'll talk to them. Hey, what's up? What's going on? You know, this and that. And
it was made for you. Dutch Brothers was made for you.
Yeah. So I go in, and so I said, yeah, it's my first time here. I was there with my wife, and we had a friend of ours in the back, and the person was like, oh, no way. Well, one's on me, and they filled up a little punch card, the whole thing. Nice. So I come back, get a free drink, and I was like, man, I'm like stoked. You know, it's pretty good. So, but they're not taking cash anymore. Dutch Brother don't take your cash; it's card only.
Yeah, and I like that. Like, I don't, this whole Antichrist thing, I'm kind of cool with the cashless society. Like, I guess people don't realize, like, that's actually the way it should be, like, that just makes sense.
Did you just admit, like, hey, listen, I think the Antichrist is not completely awful, some of his ideas.
Well, okay, now that's a stretch. What I'm saying is it makes sense. And, that's how this Antichrist thing is going to work. I mean, cashless society, one world government, which, by the way, it's interesting. I'm sure people talk about it. I'm not an end time dude, but
we're completely off our notes right now, guys. So trust me, we're just talking here.
That whole intro thing is like, jacked up right now.
Yeah, make sure real quick, hit that subscribe button, YouTube, Spotify, get connected. Anyway, back to the Antichrist.
But think about this, right? Okay, one world government, right? Mm-hmm. Well, what are we doing with our borders? Stop and think about that for a second. What do all the Democrats want to do with our borders right now?
We want to open them up.
Borders.
They do, not me, but yes, they want to open up.
So open borders. If you have open borders,
yep.
Where's the government? Where's the state? What's the country? Mm-hmm. It would
eventually blend into just one.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that AOC is the Antichrist. That's exactly what I'm saying.
I knew it. The second I saw that horse face of hers, I had a feeling that she. Have you seen those memes where she's like laughing and then they have like a Clydesdale horse like next to them?
I can't. That's so mean, dude. That's jacked up, dude. Lord, I pray that you'd touch Chris right now. Pray, Lord, that you would reach through this microphone, touch his heart. No, she's the devil. I mean, this straight up. She's the devil. I don't know. I shouldn't say she's the devil.
You're calling her the devil and you get mad at me for calling her horse.
I don't think she's the devil. I don't think she's.
You just said
I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be mean. I mean, okay. I think her policies are. Absolutely
she does listen to this show.
That's right.
AOC, my bad.
I'm pretty sure we're not going to have a whole lot of like AOC fans listening to this show.
Yeah.
But
JC fans.
JC. What's that song like? Anyway, okay, all right, way off.
But whatever song it is, I feel Toby Mac probably made it.
Yeah, I was gonna say Toby Mac, DC Talk, like Mac's in Carmen, back in the day. Carmen reference is always apropos to give a
Carmen. I wasn't, I was in church. I've been in church for like way back then. Carmen's around 2 weeks. Yeah, but he was a sharp dresser. He was at a suit
for back in the day, dude. Carmen was the man, dude. Carmen and DC Talk, they were like.
I like DC Talk stuff now. Like I'm like old school hits, but I was, I wasn't in church back in. Oh yeah. Back in the day, so I get caught up.
I was. They were our cool. Since we were all in the church, like I was raised in the church, so you couldn't listen to in the worldly stuff. So they were like the coolest Christian music that you could get. They were a little bit too edgy for some of the churches, though.
Worldly. I think they're really good.
Because rap can't be Christian.
No, not. I mean, that's something too, man. Let's think about
that's a whole episode right there. That is a whole episode right there.
I know, but let me just do we have so let's take if we have one set of lyrics, if we have the same set of lyrics, but communicated to three different styles. Genre. Okay, so the medium would be music, but the genres would be the same. Is it any different from if the same song was sang in a country twang, if it was sang in a contemporary, flow, a rock, a rap? Does the message change based on the style of music that it's being played to, or the style of music that is being used to convey this? But the words are the same, or the words are uplifting.
Yeah, I mean, so You're talking. I have a different view, obviously, on that. And well, I don't know if it's a different view. I just don't think that I'm not against rap music. I'm not against. I don't think that genre. Um, I don't think genre. There's not like a Christian genre. I think that you
Mm,
can have country Christian, you can have rock Christian, you can have rap
mm,
Christian, you can have classical Christian.
yeah.
I don't think it's based on genre. Um, I think the lyrics themselves are it is what matters, and I do think there is something to the
Hmm.
composer. So who's composing the song, putting it together. I think all that does matter, and then the performer. And I do
Yeah.
think who's
Yeah.
performing the
Yeah.
song
Yeah.
matters. And there is significant arguments to be made there, but uh, you know,
We're not going to talk about that today. We're not going to talk
we're
about
gonna have
it
to we're gonna have to
today.
hang on to that one, put that in the
Yeah,
back
that's a
pocket.
whole.
Maybe
That's like a
maybe next
two-parter.
episode we can dig into
That's a
that.
two-parter, man.
And
That's a
I think
two-parter for
yeah,
sure.
and I think bringing someone on that could share their opinion, like someone in music, the music industry, might be a good someone to just ask about it. I
Yeah.
personally, I have my opinions. You have yours.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
and I've seen too many
It's like
people
one.
have
It's
this.
one.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. We're just so cordial here. No, you, sir.
What I was saying is that I've seen too many people saved, well, not saved, but well, no, saved. I would say that they matured in Christ because of the genre that they were listening to. So in other
Hmm.
words, maybe they were hardcore rock listeners or hardcore rap listeners, and they it was very difficult for them to listen to Christian the Caruthers or something, or
Uh,
the Gaithers.
I mean, like I said this, and I was not, born in church. I wasn't, in the sense of, I mean, I had a Christian background, but not, in Apostolic or Pentecostal. And I
Hmm.
came from a really, I was in a heavy metal band, in a hardcore band back in the day, and other people I know, but it was some good Christian, in that genre that really I had a connection with, and I saw, it was used in the way it should have been used, to help me to get closer to God. So I'm actually part of that
Yeah,
group that it did help, and there's a lot of trash out there, like Christian trash, like that say they're
yeah,
Christian, they're not, so, but anyway, I'm gonna cut you off
and
here, but no, I'm
and
with you on that statement
yeah,
though.
and it's on both sides because you have
Yeah.
some people who are would say like the classical Christian songs that are the right genre and the right everything, but they're garbage songs and they don't
Mm,
lead you to Jesus. They're a
no.
crossover music, meaning that it
Yeah.
could be
Yeah.
either way, Christian or secular, and those
Yeah.
aren't helpful. And
No.
so
No.
either way, it's so anyway, we've already went way down this path, but
Yeah,
uh,
we did.
which is fine. That's
Well,
that's what we're
that's why
doing.
people listen in, because we're not this rigid. Let's hit 1, 2, 3. We're just talking,
Yeah, yeah. So we're
talking,
just talking. So
we're
anyway,
talking.
Uh, so anyway, yeah, if you are one of those people that you're just enjoying the podcast, thank you so much for listening to us just rant and rave about random stuff. Thank you for
Yes.
putting us in your
Yes.
podcast rotation. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and ring the notification bell so you get notified next time we drop a video. So what's up next, Chris? What's happening? Oh, I think it's me. Is it me? Am I introducing? Yes. So this is interesting. Let's switch to this. Harvard professor
Yes.
says that we
Oh
need to
yeah.
stop
Okay.
homeschooling, and this kind of got me hacked off. I'm not going to lie. Now she comes out and makes the statement that basically she writes an article that's entitled "The Risks of Homeschooling." It was in the Harvard magazine, Harvard Law School. Professor
Mhm.
Elizabeth Bartlett. She had this perspective that homeschoolers are not getting a meaningful education, and she was citing an instance in, I think it was somewhere in Montana or somewhere in the mountain states there, that a father had forced his kids to like work on a farm, and they didn't, they never actually learned to read, never actually learned to write, or any of this stuff. And she says, I think that's dangerous. That meaning the issue. She says the issue is, do we think that parents should have 24/7 essentially authoritarian control over their children from ages 0 to 18? the professor says. I think that's dangerous. I think it's always dangerous to put powerful people in charge of the powerless and give the powerful ones total authority. Well, I find this interesting because what she's actually advocating for is for us to take the authority away from the parents and put it in the hands of the teachers. And it's like, well, actually, no. I want to keep the authority, the power with people that actually care about the kids. How about that? Like, how about I say what my kids are going to do in school, in their education? I think I should, like, as the parent, that's my God-given right. And I think it's ridiculous. Now, on the other side of this, it is true to say that there are some homeschooling parents, and, you know, we're doing this now with our daughter because the schools are shut down and all this stuff. But I think there is something that, yes, it is true that you cannot give a kid a meaningful education if you're not doing homeschooling right. If you're not, you know, being vigilant. I've seen it happen time and time again, but there's no discipline with the kids in the home, and they end up not learning. On the flip side of that, I've been in higher ed for a number of years now, and I've seen students come out of the public schools that can't read, can't write, can barely even string together sentences to properly communicate. Some can't communicate at all if they're not on Facebook or Twitter or something like this. And so I'm not quite sure, like, they're getting a meaningful education anywhere else either. Like, I just don't think there's a guarantee to a meaningful education. So I found that to be.
I think, like, well, when homeschooling is done right, and I wasn't homeschooled. I went through the public school system. I think, did you go public school too, Micah?
I was in private school until middle school, and then high school I did public school. Yeah.
Okay, so I was old public school, and one thing that I could say is that unless you're intentionally trying, there's not a lot of accountability. I mean, you can really kind of slip by. If homeschooling is done right, like parents who are involved in you know, teaching their kids, whether, because a lot of homeschool programs is that the parents will teach, but also they will join with other homeschoolers and go to like a kind of a classroom either at somebody's home that is certified or even like a homeschool like site, you know. But I see when done right, it's tremendous accountability because it's so one-on-one.
Oh yeah.
And the growing issue with the public school system is that at least back when I was still, you know, in public school, was that there wasn't enough. There's too many kids to where one teacher had a room of like 30 kids. How does one teacher give 30 kids the attention they need one-on-one, or even that you keep a strong account? Now, you know, it's the teacher's responsibility to work out a system, but you know, a lot of people get lost in that, and there's a good majority that will just kind of pass you along. And I think we are seeing higher, and again, I don't have numbers in front of me, but you know, people aren't reading and writing how they used to. You know,
I think the literacy rate. I think the education is not as good as it used to be.
It's in you know, another thing as well is that with everything going to PC or laptop, I think things are changing where the classic one-on-one instruction, you know, and I can't speak for every school in the country, you know, if you still got one-on-one instruction, great, you know. So things are changing, and I don't know if it's changing for the better. So I think you see an increasing number of homeschool happening is because parents are realizing this, and they're saying, listen, like, I want my kid to have a quality education. You know, maybe I can't afford private. I don't want to do public. So what about I take things in my hands and teach my own kid and also instill them the values that I believe they should have. And so, and like you said, that's a God-given right for any parent. You know, a lot of level-headed, there's some kooks out there that shouldn't be homeschooling, but for the most part, any caring, loving parent that wants to, you know, wants the best for their kid, I mean, they should be able to do that with no questions asked.
Yeah, and I completely agree. And I think that when done properly, and we've talked about this before, but when done properly, homeschooling is probably the best education. I mean, stop and just think about it. I mean, it's a safer environment. It is a more spiritual environment for the kids. You don't have to worry about, you know, other students, what they're saying, influencing, bullying. I mean, just the list just goes on and on about the danger of it. And
Mm.
I always felt like, and we've, again, this, I feel like we've talked about homeschooling a number of times on the show, but I've always felt like, the students would come out somehow socially awkward or socially
Yeah, how do
inept.
you curb that?
I
The
don't think
social
that,
dynamic.
I don't really don't think that's a true, I think that's a stereotype, and I don't think it's a true result of homeschooling. I think that, from what I can see, students who are homeschooled actually tend to thrive with in those,
Do
socially. I see
you
that
think it's
they're
more
thriving.
based on the parents' approach to them
I
if
think it's a
they
completely, I think it's a stereotype. I don't think there's any evidence. I mean, I might be
no
wrong.
it
Someone could show me a
no
study,
well
but I think it's a
yeah yeah
stereotype. I don't think it's actual. I don't think it's a
we have a
fact.
close we have a close friend that she and her siblings, but she was homeschooled, and she's probably the one most socially bubbly outgoing
Hmm.
people that and that we know. And then as well, yeah, you would hate her, you wouldn't like her at all. So no, she's great. And there's the girl who just graduated from our youth group that she was homeschooled. She went through a homeschool program, and
Hmm.
her mom taught her from home. And I mean, this girl is actually going to school for to be a physicist.
Hmm.
To do like build rockets or something like that. So I in my recently, you talked to me like maybe a year ago. I'd be like, I don't know, but what I've seen recently, I'm like really impressed. And now I'm in the dad world, so we
Yeah.
definitely have had discussion in our home about the future of our education of our kids. Like, hey, what are we going to do? Because there is great individuals that are homeschooled that that are really doing great things. So kind of that stereotype of socially awkward and disconnected is being debunked as
Yeah.
kids are growing
You
up, and
can be,
we're seeing the results of it.
yeah. And I've seen as many kids socially awkward from a public school than or a
Hmm.
private school, and I think there's something to that where, um, well, first of all, the students, the kids are getting plenty of social interaction. I do think it's definitely possible for you to raise your kids in a way that, like I've seen it, close members of my family, they've raised
Yeah,
their kids in a way that they grow up afraid of stuff.
I
They're
see.
always afraid of everything. They don't want to go outside. They're afraid of all sorts of things, and because of that, they end up socially awkward because of not any kind of disability, but because they just don't know how to respond around people.
I see.
And how
I
you
see.
learn how to respond around people is that you actually get around people. And whether your personality, like me, I'm a natural introvert, so it takes a lot of energy for me to carry on, like, not just be friendly, but just to like have like a random conversation with someone,
Yeah.
like a social environment that takes a lot of effort, right? And some people it doesn't take any kind of effort at all, but for me it does. And
Yeah.
so, but you learn that, those social cues, if you will, those social, just things, you learn
You
that by
do.
getting out there and just doing it. So, but I think most kids, like if you keep them around other kids,
Yeah. Yeah.
playing at the park, having, conversations, play dates, stuff like this, as long as it's not in protest, I think you're doing okay, and the kids
Do
are
you
going to be
think
okay.
so? I had this thought. Do you think more people would homeschool if they could afford it? And by afford it, meaning they don't need the two incomes in the home. Because obviously homeschooling, someone's got to stay home to teach, and at least here in California, it's very difficult. I mean, it's possible. You have to, and you can do it to where you can survive on one income. Um, what about that part of it? Is that
Yeah. I think it depends on the
needing dual
family.
incomes?
Yeah. I think it depends on
Okay,
the family, and it depends. I mean, it depends on a lot of things. You could make it work in California. Well, in certain parts of California, although I know
certain parts.
people in Southern California that do it as well in the Bay Area. But the cost of living is very expensive in the Bay
Yeah,
Area, and this in northern San Francisco Bay Area, and then Southern California, Los Angeles, San Diego, very expensive. So it can happen, but you have to make extreme sacrifices. And the
yeah,
other part to it is that not only do you have to make a sacrifice, but you have to be willing to do it. Like, it takes an incredible amount of work, from what I can tell and what I've seen,
Yeah.
And that's why some of this shutdown business is so difficult. It takes an incredible amount of work for a
Hmm.
parent to commit to homeschool your kids. It's not like
Yeah.
you can just say, stay in your pajamas, just do, do this. No, I mean, they're like, my wife and I have had many conversations. There's so much that you could teach your kids, from going to museums and going to on field
Yeah.
trips and going
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
different, doing real science
We
experiments that you wouldn't get access
You
to.
could dissect whatever you want in your backyard.
That's right. I mean, kill all sorts of
We
stuff.
talking to our student who graduated, talked to her mom. She said that very thing. So yeah, it was a big. I mean, she was so happy, but so yeah, it was a lot of work. The mom even had a career, had went to school for a career, but when they decided to put their daughter through homeschool, and they started doing that when she was very young. So they at this graduation we're talking, and that very thing you said, like it does take a lot of commitment on the parent, a lot of intentionality, saying staying committed, building a system, a program for the family. Again, like you said, not like stay in your pajamas and just read this
Right.
book and answer these comprehension questions. It really, if you want to do it well, you can do it that way. I know people do it, but if you want to do it really well, to where they're getting you a quality education and their lives being changed, like you said, and they're being like, I mean, let's talk about, let's say this, and I think, we're not going to too much longer on this, is that I remember in public school, dude, they don't teach you about credit cards. They don't teach you about certain things of finance unless you're like
No.
taking I mean, you take an economics class, you kind of learn the basics of the economy, things like that. But kind of these things that right after you graduate, you need to face. Like, if you go to college, I might take a loan. Okay, they talk about the interest, compound. So there's so many things that our public school system leaves out that we need to understand going into life that could possibly be part of the curriculum of a
Yeah.
homeschooler, if the parents are intentional with it. So very, very interesting topic, about this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's
I
great.
mean, and our education system leaves out a whole lot, right? And
Oh yeah.
that's part of the problem, and a lot of the reasons why parents will want to homeschool is because of the rising tide of the LGBTQ influence
Yes.
that is teaching a certain thing that we would declare as unbiblical. Like, we don't
Yeah.
agree with
Yeah.
that. We don't agree that necessarily that homosexuality is not a sin, for instance, and so, or that someone can be born, or someone that can change their gender. These are things that we just wouldn't agree with, and in the curriculum, this is given precedent,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
unfortunate in my opinion. And so then you stop and just think about, and then just the whole idea of, I mean, the whole idea of what we are as a society, as a capitalist society, what we are as a republic, and how
Yeah.
democracy works. I mean, the fact that the fact that recently we've had people talking about abolishing the Electoral College
Yeah.
is really troubling, because that tells me then that we don't know what the Electoral College is.
Well,
Like,
they're only saying that because Trump got elected. I remember I was working Uber in the Bay Area, San Francisco, during the whole week he got elected. That was that's a whole other story about
yeah,
being in the Bay. But one something that someone said very passionately in the call when I'm with a couple people was like he was attacking the Electoral College. Oh, they should have got away with it. They should have done away with it. And so, I mean, anyway, just
like,
just
I
like
think
that,
it's incredible that people, like, do they really understand what the Electoral College is? Like why we have it, and like why we're a federalist nation, like why we have a
Well, that's the thing.
republic.
I mean, are our kids have, yeah, are our kids having any type of political foundation? Are they being taught any type of political foundation that's not biased? That can we talk about just
Precisely.
politics and democracy? You know, um, they're not. Like you said, that they're now it's being done with an agenda. Now it's being done. Hey, we need to be. You know, and I think here in California, there's a book there. They did a study between California and Texas. It's done a lot because their economies are kind of similar. Um, there are certain textbooks, public textbooks, that are written differently in Texas than are written in California.
Oh yeah, I believe
Based
that.
on and they did side by side. The New York Times did this. They side by side of a major publishing company that does textbooks, and they showed the same page, the same area, and California said certain things that were more of a liberal view, and then Texas was said more of a conservative view. Even some things were left out.
Yeah.
Some things were left out that were in other books. So, I mean, so what does that say about our country, that we literally, the education system varies from state to state, and that things are being tailor made based on the political climate of that particular state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's no uniformity, and so I found that very interesting and disturbing, at the same time.
Yeah, I mean it's clear. I mean there's political motivations for all this stuff. So, and this is one of the reasons why I have no question this Harvard professor is politically motivated. Again to get rid of like this idea to ban homeschooling, and this isn't going to be the last time we're going to hear about this sort of thing. They don't want dissenting views in their ideology. But well, man, that's all I got for tonight.
Yeah,
so
that's it. Well, again, one more time for you guys tonight. Guys, if you have not yet, please hit that subscribe button. Stay connected to us through our YouTube page. Spotify I'm a huge Spotify fan. So those of you, a couple of you guys have commented, hey, Chris, we love the show. I love hearing it, on my work or do my thing. Check us out on Spotify as well. Give us a download, and I'll definitely be excited to be with you throughout your day. Hit subscribe button, stay connected. I'm Chris. That's Micah. This is the Day Radical. You guys take care out there. Be blessed.
See you next time.